What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to the series where we connect a story from each chapter of the 48 Laws of Power to an event, artist, or story that happened within the music business or rap as a whole. Imagine you're a record label in late 2019 and see there's an unsigned, independent artist who's smashing streaming records and his song is outstreaming some of the biggest stars on your roster daily. You want him to sign to you. This isn't even a matter of seeing the potential of the song or the artist. The success is staring at you in the face. You listen to his catalog and he's got multiple songs you see could be hits with the right push. You could turn him into a star. After all, you had just turned another artist that same year into what some would say a superstar. He needs to be on your label. Law 19 states, know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. There are many different kinds of people in the world, and you can never assume that everyone will react to your strategies in the same way. Choose your victims and opponents carefully. Then, never offend or deceive the wrong person. It's 1920 and it's a rough year for art dealers in America. Their biggest clients, who were the robber barons of the 19th century, had Ryuk knocking on their door. And there weren't new millionaires to fill up the spots that they were leaving behind. It had gotten to a point where art dealers decided to come together and pool their resources, which was not happening when business was booming. One of these was Joseph Duveen. He was an art dealer to the richest of the rich in America, and he was struggling more than the other dealers that year. So he decided to align himself with their team. Duveen was known for studying his potential clients for extended periods of time, making sure he understood their weaknesses, even the minute details of the different tastes they had in art, before he even met them. The crew now had 5 of the biggest art dealers in America. Now, to find a new client, they figured their whale, their Moby Dick, was going to be none other than Henry Ford, the richest man in America at the time. Henry Ford had not yet ventured into the art world, so it seemed like a logical plan for them to team up to get him as a client. The art dealers wanted to come prepared. They put together a list they called the 100 greatest paintings in the world. Coincidentally, they had every single one of the 100 available for sale and would offer them to Ford. With just one easy but expensive purchase, he could become the world's top art collector. The group toiled for several weeks to put together their presentation, a 3-volume set of books that had all of the reproductions of each painting alongside long text with each picture giving the history, significance, and more information on each art piece. Next stop was Ford's home in Dearborn, Michigan. How would you imagine the home of the richest man in America at that time? Probably nothing but luxury. Yet, when they walked in, they were met with a surprise. It was rather plain and simple. They were stunned. He welcomed them into his study and was flipping through the book with great pleasure. They were salivating at the millions they stood to make on this deal. Ford eventually set the book down and said to them, "Gentlemen, beautiful books like these, with beautiful colored pictures like these, must cost an awful lot." "But Mr. Ford," replied Duveen, "we don't expect you to buy these books. We got them up especially for you, to show you the pictures. These books are a present to you." Ford was perplexed. "Gentlemen, it's extremely nice of you, but I really don't see how I can accept a beautiful, expensive present like this from strangers." Duveen told Ford that the images in the book were recreations of paintings they were interested in selling him. Ford finally got what was going on and said, "But gentlemen, what would I want with the original pictures when the ones right here in these books are so beautiful?" Remember how I said Duveen was known for studying his marks? Well, he didn't bother to study Henry Ford this time.
What? What the fuck?
He was desperate, and he needed the money. Henry Ford was filthy rich, but he was still just a simple man, a plain guy, who isn't worth preparing all of these presentations because he doesn't care. This was out of the norm from all the experiences these art dealers had to deal with. This reminded me of an event that happened in 2019, one of the biggest songs that year, that would turn out to be one of the biggest songs of 2020. And the biggest record deal signed that year, 2019, for a whopping $8 million to none other than Columbia Records, home to some of the newest young stars in rap and some would say pop: Polo G, Lil TJ, Lil Nas X, The Kid Laroi, and Baby Keem. But there was one rapper who had an organic hit song before almost all of these, and before he signed, none other than Arizona Zervas. You've probably heard his song Roxanne before. It went ultra viral on TikTok and then throughout the internet. He had initially just posted a video of him, which you could say was dancing or just vibing out to the song, and it would become a frequently used sound on TikTok. The song was released on October 10th, 2019, independently distributed, and within 3 weeks would get to number 1 on Spotify's top 50 songs in the US, as well as topping several iTunes charts. It was the first song in years released by an independent artist to top those charts, considering it is outstreaming major label artists that are being pushed through many other avenues. It reached number 1 on the New Zealand charts, debuted at number 34 on the Hot 100, and number 24 on the UK charts. I can't say how rare and incredible this is for a song to do for an unsigned artist, and we haven't seen this happen since. And the hype was only growing. Labels were ringing him up, salivating to be able to sign him and get a hold of this song, as well as his catalog. He had released over 30 singles, usually weekly or bi-weekly, since 2016, and had gone viral early on for a Super Bowl freestyle he had done years back on Facebook. He was still a small rapper though, and just had his own buzz and fan base on the internet prior to Roxanne's takeoff. The track is now 5 times platinum in the United States and has many other platinum and gold certifications from countries like the UK, Canada, Australia, and more, with over 1.2 billion streams on Spotify today. The leverage that Arizona Zervas has was unlike what any rappers ever get. There was a bidding war going on to get him to sign, and eventually he went with Columbia Records for what was rumored to be an $8 million deal for just one single album. Coi Leray was another individual who signed that year to Republic, and in an interview with Vlad TV claimed she had signed the biggest deal that year, which is hard to believe considering the fact that she didn't have a single hit, much of a fan base at all, for her to command equal to or more than $8 million. Arizona Zervas was signed sometime between when the song took off and when it was announced on November 15th, 2019, that he signed to Columbia. A huge advance. Perfect. Now it was time to start pushing Arizona Zervas. Or was it? Huh? The upcoming months, the song continued to perform well, peaking at number 4 on the Hot 100 and staying top 10 on the charts for weeks upon weeks. Fast forward to today, and Arizona Zervas has never had another song chart on the Hot 100, has done only one interview ever that was over a Zoom call, and it was barely an interview, has not collaborated with any other artists on his record label or outside of his record label for any releases, and has still yet to release his debut album. 2.5 years later, 2 recent music videos have been released, My Time accumulating a mere 274,000 views in a month, and Bands accumulating 134,000 views in 2 months. He's had other songs that streamed well, for example, FML with 257 million streams on Spotify, and then Knight Rider following with 60 million streams on Spotify. Some people may say, well, Arizona Zervas was unable to go on tour due to the timing of the pandemic. 2020 and 2021, there's really no touring whatsoever. That stopped him from performing the song, likely as an opener for a bigger pop star or rapper and building a fan base from there. That is a fair take to make. However, it doesn't explain the lack of press he did, the lack of musical collaborations he released, or any of that. He did one single interview. The music video for Roxanne didn't release until 4 months after the song took off. He still hasn't gone on tour, and he's even had label mates such as 24K Golden and Polo G who were able to stay scorching hot and build up their fan base during the pandemic through TikTok for 24K Golden, as well as Polo G, and spreading their music, being active. Arizona Zervas really just didn't try. Or did he perhaps just not care? When record labels look to sign someone, they usually know exactly how to run them through the same process. After all, they've had thousands of artists come through those doors and have signed a countless number of artists throughout the decades. They make them feel special, tell them they love their music, mention how many other stars they currently have on their roster, what big stars and legends they can get them to work with right now, as well as what legacy acts have been signed to that same record label, and how they're going to turn you into a star just like them. The money is rarely mentioned until contracts start to get written up, and most artists are usually sold before the paper is even presented to them. But Arizona Zervas was a unique case since there was both a bidding war and he had the leverage of a hit song on the top 40 of the Hot 100. Can't state how much of a leverage point that is. Most artists can't wait to be superstars. Having fans chanting their name, being recognized in public, on Coachella, at these award shows, it's their dream. And Arizona Zervas had the opportunity to make that dream come true. Yet he opted out of that. Released music infrequently, bought a $4.5 million house in the Hollywood Hills, and just, well, chilled. Arizona Zervas hasn't complained about any record label issues like most other rappers or artists who are nowhere near as hot as they once were. He didn't say Columbia failed to uphold whatever promises they made him. He just does his own thing, low key. And just like Joseph Duveen's failure to study Henry Ford, Columbia might have failed to understand what type of individual we can deduce Arizona Zervas to be. We don't know what their conversations were, but we can come to the conclusion that Arizona Zervas was happy getting a sum of money that would be life-changing forever, and continuing to make music, lay low, and stay out of the celebrity lifestyle. A simple man, just doing what he enjoys regularly, much like Henry Ford. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like this video if you want the next episode. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Peace.